Hi, my name is Jason Ellinger, CEO of Tech Translations. Today, I want to address something that's very misunderstood, and I think that it's vital to being able to be fully wealthy and whole. And a lot of people on the internet and on the videos that are broadcast get this wrong, and it has to do with um, we because I had to do so much work and because I had to go through so much pain and had to endure so much uh, unpleasant elements of life, so much of the unpleasant, and as a result, I went through that and I created something amazing. I created billions or millions or whatever it is. Um, that somehow negates the existence of a creator, negates the existence of the spiritual. And I think that's an incredible error, or maybe even an incredible pride on the part of the person who believes that. Because recently I watched, a number of videos, and some people I really, really genuinely like. I consume their content. I enjoy it. Um, and I kind of give you two complete uh, different two different people that tout a very, very similar message, but one acknowledges the existence of the spiritual or God, and one says it's irrelevant. And one of those is Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi, the billionaire, freaking awesome dude. I love his content. I consume his content when he puts new stuff out. I absolutely love everything about what he puts out. And he says the spiritual does not exist. He chooses to believe the spiritual does not exist. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have 40 years delivering excellence, growing his business, powerful team, influencing the world around him. Also, in my estimation, billionaire, but that's just not public information, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. But he's really, really, really wealthy, ridiculously, amazingly wealthy, force of nature type wealthy. Dave Ramsey. And you got these two people, and fundamentally about work, they believe so similar. And they talk about work and the way that if you the more work you do and the better you measure results and the longer you do that, the more successful you will be. And so many big business gurus out in the marketplace that okay, so I did all this work, and because I had to go through all of this pain and struggle, whatever, God exists, God doesn't exist, but I'm not going to attribute any of the good that I have to him or any of the good that I enjoy of my life to a higher power beyond my comprehension, because nobody helped me. I got down in the bottom of my pit and I scraped my butt up out of there, and nobody freaking cared when I was down there. And I learned, I measured, I invested, I spent hours and hours laboring over my work. I got better. I invested. I got better. I measured, and the process continued. And I invested, and I grew incrementally over time. And as kind of challenging as that is, in these two situations, one says, there is no God, and basically, and the spiritual doesn't exist, and the other says, Dave Ramsey, he says, because of God, we have all these things to enjoy, and we get to influence the world around us in incredible ways. And both of them are impacting the world around them in incredible ways. Both of them are helping people. Both of them are leaders in their space. Both of them are providing value and investing in the hearts and minds of others, and probably both of them are big givers. That's a very big characteristic of wealthy people. I'm sure that Alex Hormozi is very philanthropic in that way, and I'm sure that he expresses his his generosity somehow. Um, and but their difference is, one is congruent. One is all the way through and through consistent. He acknowledges God, works his butt off, invests, and it's like a wholeness. And the other one, he doesn't acknowledge that, but he takes phrases and beliefs that belong to that worldview and uses them throughout his space. And like for Alex Hormozi, he'll say like, okay, so this is a truth. This is a fundamental truth. Well, if there is no God, if there is no existence of a higher power, there is no like fundamental truth. So you can't say that. Or this is something of deep intrinsic value. Well, why is it valuable? There's nothing that makes it valuable if there's nothing to cause value to be created. Like that doesn't make, why is it good, or why is it valuable, or why is it better to work? Freaking work your butt off. That's the one of Alex Hormozi's messages. Work, just freaking work harder. And why is that good? It's because it produces the results that you want, and those results are good. Okay, why is that good? But the spiritual but God doesn't exist, and I think that's the big error. And you know what? It's fine, because ultimately God is patient. God is a kind God, and he'll wait. He's a good father. He's not prideful, and he's not worried about your acknowledgement. I mean, he would love everyone to acknowledge him, right? He would love everyone to appreciate, acknowledge, and accept him. But he's not like, you will acknowledge me, or I will turn my back on you and hate you forever. He gives you a choice. He's like, okay, you can trust me, or you cannot. It's your choice, and you can, that choice makes you be able to be with me when you die, or makes you to not be with me when you die. But that's your choice, and you can do whatever. But it would be great if you got to know me, and because I created you, and I do all these things that are good for you. So there's some stories that when I listen to it from a Christian perspective, I listen to Alex Hormozi's story, and sometimes I'm listening to, he's like, okay, so I had this moment in my life. I was I worked my butt off like crazy, and then I had this moment in my life. I met this person in this pizza parlor, and we sat down, and at that point he was already a massive bodybuilder guy, cool dude, awesome. And he's like, okay. And she asked me if I could have a consultation with you, and you could help me with my diet. And he's like, okay, sure, whatever. And so he gets down and he writes on a piece of paper. They have about an hour discussion, and then he's like, okay. At the end, he just slides the paper over. He's like, this is what you should eat. This is what you shouldn't eat, and this should work for you, whatever. And then she takes out her checkbook. She writes a $200 check and slides it over to him. And that was like a transformational moment. He mentions that as like a transformational moment in his journey. And that's, for the Christian, we say that was God intervening. And for the one who doesn't, or the one who doesn't believe in anything spiritual, doesn't believe in God, whatever, he says, no, it was just a result of my hard work. And there's like this element of pride, or this element of disagreement there. And I think that reality is only learned with wisdom and a consistency in the wholeness of your view of life, and of your walk. Because you can't have ultimate success as a human and as people, because we are spiritual beings, and not acknowledge the spiritual aspect of your life. And so I think that's the cardinal error. That's a lot of videos that are being put out on YouTube or they're making, is like, God doesn't exist, and you just work your butt off and you make a buck. But it further errors. I mean, it further compounds itself as a problem, because then they look at people who do believe in God. And this is to you, Christian out there, who maybe, who's struggling, or who doesn't do what you need to do to make yourself successful. And that is, they look out there and they're like, well, all these people who claim they believe in God, they're needing my help. Like, why doesn't God just help them? Why doesn't their God step in and do freaking something for them? And that's where they miss it. God sent you to help them. Like, that's literally one of your jobs, is to help them. And you don't even realize it. You don't even realize that God's using you to help people, and you don't even believe in God. So many times God uses us wealthy people to step in and help people. And some people acknowledge that, like Dave Ramsey, he acknowledges that, yeah, I've got my wealth and been blessed mightily, and now I'm in a position to help others. And then Alex Hormozi is like, no, I worked my butt off. I got everything I have by myself, and it's whatever. And then, but he's kind and generous. He's alluded to helping people in some of his videos, and that's awesome. That's cool. That's great. He's an awesome dude. But I think we as Christians often mess up the worldview of others because we don't freaking work hard enough in so many spaces. You don't work hard enough. We don't measure, or you work really hard, but you don't measure results and you don't get better, or you don't expand your horizons, or you don't invest the way you should so that you can grow, or whatever reason it is, you're not allowing yourself to be successful. And these people who are practicing basically God's fundamental plan to become successful: work hard, grow, learn, create, do beautiful things. These people are doing that, but not Christians. They're gaining this amazing benefit, but not acknowledging God. Whereas so many Christians out here, so many people who believe in God and the spiritual, they say, well, because God is just, he's just going to take care of all of our needs and we don't have to do anything. And that's an error on our part. Not my part, because I work my butt off, but and we get great results because of it. But man, I think this video is important for both sides. For the one who doesn't believe in the spiritual and works his butt off and gets great things, but because you need to acknowledge God. You do need to acknowledge that he exists, and that all that you have is a result of what God already said how to get it. And whether or not you want to believe that, it's whatever, but it is true. And then to the Christian who wants to have success and wealth and blessing, but isn't getting their butt to work, like that guy who doesn't believe in God, but he has all the benefits because he does the thing that God says that you should do to get the wealth that you have. I think we could take a lot of lessons from that, and I think the Christian could learn from that, and I think the non-believer in God and anything spiritual could take great lessons from the other side, because then it's going to give them a lot of fundamental and more intrinsic value and wholeness in what they're actually doing and how they're actually impacting the world. So thought I'd send this message out this morning because it's really, I haven't seen any other ones like it. And I think that, I think in the world of business and work, that this message needs to be clearly heard on both sides. Both the Christians need to work harder and measure and be excellent and take some of those attributes from people who don't believe, but they're doing everything that's right. And vice versa, those who are doing those things that are right they can find some acknowledgement of God, and have a more whole, and become an incredible force in nature over time, like a legacy company like Dave Ramsey, like his like force in nature, freaking, it's going to outlive him. I don't even know, maybe by generations, and that's lasting impact. And I think ultimately that's, as entrepreneurs and business owners, I think that's one of the things that we desire to leave behind.